Welcome to the research desk.
Glad to be here.
So today's mission is, well, it's direct, it is urgent, and it is entirely focused on you and your portfolio.
Absolutely.
We are diving into a really highly critical strategic briefing today. It's titled The AI Moat Paradox: Sandcastles or Impenetrable Fortresses.
Yeah, and the goal today is to basically cut through the massive amounts of hype in the market right now.
Right, to determine exactly where true enduring value resides in an era of just absolute hyper-disruption. We are not sugarcoating anything today.
No hedging.
None. We are delivering an authoritative, high-stakes analysis of how AI is fundamentally reshaping corporate profitability and, frankly, national economic power.
Because the premise we're working with today, it demands an entirely new framework from anyone allocating capital.
Yeah, you can't use the old rules.
Exactly.
Here.
What this briefing outlines is the core paradox of the modern economy.
Yeah.
AI is, it's operating as a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
On one hand, it's rapidly democratizing advanced capabilities for everyone, but on the other hand, it's simultaneously creating extreme winner-take-all dynamics.
It's wild. It's handing out technological superpowers to the masses.
While building impenetrable, untouchable fortresses for a very select few.
Yeah.
So if you try to value a company today using the exact same metrics and the assumptions you used 5 years ago.
Those assumptions are completely failing you.
Entirely.
Let's put a hard historical number on that failure because the briefing highlights a statistic that is genuinely jarring.
It really is.
If you look back at the 1950s, the average lifespan of a competitive advantage for a company in the S&P 500 was roughly 30 years.
30 years.
You built a moat, you sat comfortably behind it, and you just generated reliable cash flow for 3 decades. Today,
it's a completely different reality.
that 30-year lifespan has collapsed to less than 5 years.
Wow.
AI isn't just a new tool, it is acting as a hyper-accelerant for the erosion of competitive moats.
Which brings us to a concept that biologists and business strategists refer to as the Red Queen effect.
Right, from Alice in Wonderland.
Exactly. The idea that you have to run at full speed just to stay in the exact same place.
Yeah.
That is the dictating, unavoidable force of modern corporate competition. And this is exactly why traditional valuation methods, specifically discounted cash flow models, or DCFs, are breaking down in real time.
They completely fail to capture this pace of technological change.
They do. If you are applying a standard DCF model today without drastically adjusting your discount rates to account for how fast these moats are dying.
You're mirroring the fatal errors investors made during the 2000 dot-com bubble.
Spot on. You're pricing in a 30-year medieval stone moat for a castle that is actually made of sand.
So we need to look at both sides of the ledger here, and I want to start with the bull case.
Okay.
Where are the actual stone fortresses being built? The briefing introduces a concept called dynamic moats, and it uses an analogy that I think perfectly illustrates the difference between, hype and real value. It's the chef's wok hei analogy.
I love this one.
It's great. For anyone unfamiliar with Cantonese cooking, wok hei translates to the breath of the wok.
Yes.
It's that distinct, incredibly complex, smoky flavor you only get from perfect, high-heat stir-frying. It's the signature of a master chef.
Right.
If we apply this to the AI landscape, the foundational AI models you constantly read about in the news, those are just the stoves.
Just the stove.
And the raw proprietary data a company has hoarded, those are just the ingredients.
And that analogy cuts right to the heart of the matter. Because any restaurant with a budget can buy a commercial-grade stove.
Right?
They can buy the freshest ingredients. But having those things doesn't guarantee a Michelin star.
Not at all.
True. Defensible value only materializes from proprietary seamless integration. It is the operational DNA of the company.
That is the wok hei.
Exactly. The AI cannot just be a bolt-on feature. It can't be some shiny outsourced chatbot slapped onto a customer service page.
No, it has to be a fundamental catalyst embedded so deeply into how the company operates that you couldn't extract it if you tried. So when a company actually gets that recipe right, the briefing says they build algorithmic and physical moats.
Let's break those down.
Starting with the algorithmic side. We all know AI supercharges network effects, but how does that actually translate into an impenetrable fortress?
Well, the briefing points to TikTok as the prime example.
Okay, walk us through that.
TikTok's algorithmic moat is a masterclass in highly defensible, deeply entrenched hyper-personalization.
Yeah.
Think about what is actually happening under the hood there. Every single micro-interaction, a lingering pause on a video, a rapid swipe, a shared link, It all feeds a continuously improving psychological feedback loop.
So that algorithm isn't just sorting videos.
No, it is learning the user's dopamine triggers in real time. For a competitor to replicate that from scratch isn't just expensive. It is nearly impossible because they cannot simulate the billions of historical, nuanced human interactions that train the system.
Okay, I hear that. But a social media app is still fundamentally a software product.
True.
What happens when we take this out of the digital realm and apply it to physical operations? Because the briefing suggests that is where the numbers get truly staggering.
Oh, the physical operations side is where the strongest fortresses are being built, without a doubt.
Yeah.
AI optimization of complex, real-time physical systems forms an irreplaceable asset. Let's look at the case study on Siemens.
Okay.
They are utilizing AI-powered predictive maintenance across heavy industrial machinery.
And we're not talking about a simple calendar alert that says change the oil.
Not even close.
Yeah.
We're talking about thousands of acoustic sensors and thermal imaging cameras feeding data into an AI that can predict a microscopic bearing failure weeks before it snaps.
Weeks before.
Yes. By doing that, Siemens is reducing unplanned factory downtime by up to 50%.
50%.
And they're cutting overall maintenance costs by 10 to 40%.
That's massive. In heavy industry, saving a factory from going offline for 2 days is worth millions.
Tens of millions, easily.
That leads right into the semiconductor manufacturing example, which might be the most crucial physical moat in the world right now. The briefing highlights TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. They are using AI to boost their yield rates, which is the percentage of usable, flawless chips they get off a single silicon wafer, by 5 to 10%.
Right.
For those of us who aren't electrical engineers, why is a 5% bump such a massive unit economic advantage?
Because semiconductor manufacturing is arguably the most complex physical process human beings have ever engineered.
Yeah.
A single speck of dust or a microscopic temperature fluctuation can ruin dozens of chips on a wafer.
Just one speck of dust.
Exactly. If an AI system can analyze the thousands of variables in the manufacturing process and tweak the environment to save just 5 to 10% more chips from being discarded,
That goes straight to the bottom line.
straight to it. It translates to billions of dollars in pure profit over time. It creates a physical moat built on operational woke hay that a well-funded Silicon Valley startup simply cannot cross.
And the market is absolutely noticing this. Companies that have this level of AI embedded from their inception are commanding what the briefing calls an AI-native market premium.
They are. The market recognizes that true integration is incredibly rare.
Look at Palantir's valuation. Investors have recently been paying nearly 21 times their revenue over the last 12 months.
Yeah, an LTM PS of 20.9x.
In today's market, that ratio is an astronomical premium.
It is, but the market is assigning that multiple because Palantir's analytics are so deeply integrated into the nervous systems of their clients.
We're talking military logistics, massive healthcare networks, global supply chains.
Ripping their software out would literally paralyze the client. They have built an operational fortress.
So we have established the bull case, but this is where we have to pivot sharply and confront the bear case.
Yes, we do.
If you are managing a portfolio, you must look at the extreme fragility of these technological advantages.
And to understand that risk, the briefing demands we look at the MySpace precedent.
Everyone remembers MySpace, the absolute, undisputed king of the early internet.
Until it suddenly wasn't.
It is the ultimate cautionary tale.
It is the ultimate warning sign regarding network effects. MySpace possessed a massive network moat. They had the user base, they had the cultural momentum, they had the data.
Yet they were rapidly rendered completely obsolete by Facebook.
The historical precedent is brutal. Right now, the primary assumption driving billions of dollars of AI investment is the idea that more data equals better AI.
Right.
That assumption is fundamentally flawed.
Let's pause on that for a second, because that's a massive claim. The whole tech industry operates on the idea that data is the new oil. How is that flawed?
Because it completely ignores the reality of diminishing returns. After a certain threshold, feeding a machine learning model more raw data does not yield a proportional increase in its capability or its defensibility.
Okay, so going from 1 million data points to 10 million is a massive leap in intelligence.
Huge leap, but going from 10 billion to 100 billion often yields only a marginal improvement.
Right.
If your entire competitive moat is based simply on hoarding more data than the next guy, your moat is fragile.
So how does this actually impact the specialized software companies a listener might be holding in their portfolio right now?
Well, the briefing states that API accessibility is democratizing advanced AI. leading directly to rapid margin compression.
Basically, if you built a specialized software company that summarizes legal documents or optimizes marketing copy.
Your special sauce is now available to anyone with a credit card via an API call to a foundational model.
That is the grim reality for specialized sauce
It
companies.
really is. We are looking at a scenario where specialized software vendors are facing a gross margin compression of 5 to 10 percentage points within just 3 to 5 years.
The tools that used to make them proprietary and special are now commoditized.
The briefing provides a brutal case study on this with C3.ai.
Oh yeah, their market cap plummeted from over $11 billion down to roughly $3 billion.
The market realized that their enterprise AI mode was significantly less defensible than the initial hype suggested.
When the underlying intelligence becomes a commodity, the premium valuation vanishes.
And it accelerates even further when you factor in the destruction of traditional data advantages.
You're talking about off-the-shelf large language models.
Yes, and the rise of synthetic data generation. These foundational models generalize so effectively that they drastically reduce the exclusivity of a company's bespoke, proprietary data set.
Because you no longer need to spend a decade collecting customer interactions if an AI can just generate highly accurate synthetic training data in an afternoon.
Exactly.
And then throw in the tightening grip of global regulations like GDPR in Europe or the CCPA in California.
Which heavily restrict how you can collect and monetize user data.
The defensibility of consumer data is eroding by the minute. Which brings us to a lethal dynamic the briefing defines as the AI debt trap.
The AI debt trap. This occurs when you combine rapidly eroding technological advantages with massive, unavoidable capital expenditure.
CapEx is out of control right now.
Companies across the board are engaging in staggering CapEx, buying tens of thousands of GPUs, building massive data centers, paying exorbitant energy bills.
All without a proportional return on investment.
Right. They are spending like they're building a 30-year moat, but they are only buying a 3-year temporary lead.
It is terrifying when you look at the current valuations. Markets are rewarding these transient, temporary technological leads with exorbitant valuations.
We are routinely seeing price-to-earnings ratios exceeding 50x for software advantages that, frankly, might not even exist in 24 months.
It creates a deeply fragile winner-take-all dynamic.
One that is highly susceptible to a sudden regulatory intervention or a shift in open-source capabilities.
So in this kind of technological gold rush landscape, historical patterns dictate that the true enduring value accrues strictly to the pick-and-shovel providers.
Yes. The companies providing the foundational infrastructure, the hardware, and the energy.
Okay, so we've laid out the two extremes. We have the massive AI native premiums, the true fortresses like Palantir, and the physical moats of TSMC.
And we have the brutal moat fragility, the sandcastles, the margin compression, the MySpace precedent, and the AI debt trap.
The core tension here is extreme. How do you, as an investor or strategic leader, confidently allocate capital when software AI advantages might commoditize within 36 months?
To navigate that tension, the briefing outlines a rubric called the Moat Durability Spectrum.
Okay.
This is the framework you use to assess defensibility in your own holdings. We start at the bottom with the most fragile tier.
Which belongs strictly to proprietary algorithms.
Exactly. And the reason is simple. Algorithms are rapidly open-sourced. A breakthrough algorithm locked in a corporate vault today is often reverse-engineered and freely available on GitHub tomorrow.
Moving up one step on the spectrum, we hit the fragile tier, which is raw proprietary data.
Because of the synthetic data generation and the diminishing returns we just unpacked, simply owning a massive database is no longer the impenetrable shield it was a decade ago.
Right. Then we step into the moderately durable tier.
This is where we see AI-enhanced operational systems with deep domain integration.
This is the woke we discussed earlier.
Exactly. When AI is fundamentally woven into a specific, complex operational workflow, like a hospital's triage system or a global shipping logistics network, it becomes incredibly sticky.
The cost and risk for a client to rip that system out and replace it with a competitor's product is simply too high.
But the absolute apex, the most durable tier.
This is where the briefing argues the tectonic plates of the global economy are actually shifting.
Yes. The most durable moats on the planet right now are control of physical infrastructure choke points and strategic geopolitical positioning.
The briefing specifically mentions 17th century mercantilism. I actually had to look that up to grasp the full context.
A heavy comparison.
It is. We're talking about an era where empires fiercely protected their trade routes and hoarded resources as a matter of national survival.
And the parallel is deeply intentional. What we're witnessing is a modern push for national self-sufficiency that perfectly mirrors that mercantilist mindset.
Control over advanced semiconductors, the energy grid, and industrial robotics is no longer just a corporate advantage for a tech company.
It is a paramount strategic differentiator for nation-states.
The briefing specifically points to lithography machines. These are the incredibly complex, bus-sized machines that actually print the microscopic circuits onto silicon wafers.
Right. And there is essentially only one company in the world, ASML, that makes the most advanced versions of these machines.
That is a choke point.
A massive one. If your investment thesis does not account for this physical, hardware-level reality and the geopolitics surrounding it, your thesis is entirely incomplete.
Which means we need to translate this entire strategic briefing into actionable steps. We are not just here to admire the complexity of the problem.
No. Based on the data, there is a direct, no-hedging portfolio strategy that needs to be applied immediately.
Step 1. Stress test your timelines. You must operate your portfolio under the assumption that software-only AI advantages will commoditize within 36 months.
If you are holding a company whose valuation relies on their software exclusivity lasting a decade, recalibrate that valuation immediately.
Assume the moat will evaporate and see if the math still makes sense.
Step 2 involves capital allocation. To defend against this hyper-disruption, the briefing advises allocating 60 to 70% of your tech portfolio to established wide moat companies.
Companies that are using AI strictly to deepen their existing advantages.
Exactly. You are looking for companies that already own complex physical operations, massive distribution networks, or deep enterprise integration.
And they're utilizing AI to brutally lower their costs and increase their operational efficiency.
Step 3. Price geopolitical risk as a mandatory first-order variable.
Do not treat it as a macro afterthought or a generic footnote in a risk disclosure.
No. You need to know exactly where a company's chips are manufactured.
What happens to their server supply chain if export controls tighten in the South China Sea?
Where are they sourcing the copper and the rare earth metals for their data centers?
Geopolitics is no longer just a news cycle. It is a fundamental driver of unit economics.
And that brings us to the final, critical piece of the puzzle. The briefing leaves us with a wildcard scenario to mull over, and it challenges the core assumption of the entire AI boom.
This is fascinating.
As we've established, centralized compute monopolies, the massive tech giants building billion-dollar data centers, are incredibly powerful right now.
They are the toll booths of the new economy.
But what if the ultimate hedge against them isn't another corporate giant, but a structural shift in how infrastructure itself operates?
You're talking about the potential for decentralized infrastructure.
Let's consider the potential of decentralized compute networks, specifically protocols like the Render network or the Akash network.
Right.
These systems are attempting to fundamentally democratize access to high-performance computing.
So instead of renting server space from a massive centralized monopoly, these protocols distribute the heavy computational workload across a global network of idle GPUs.
Exactly. Everything from dormant, independent data centers to high-end consumer hardware.
Could these decentralized networks offer a structural, resilient hedge against the centralized computing monopolies we see forming today?
Could they become the new borderless pick-and-shovel providers in a way that entirely circumvents traditional corporate and geopolitical chokeholds?
It is a profound, disruptive question, and one that absolutely demands a place in your strategic thinking.
Because of the sheer asymmetric upside of that potential, the briefing explicitly advises considering a 1 to 10% portfolio allocation to this AI-native decentralized infrastructure.
It's the asymmetric bet against the very centralization that AI is currently driving. You came here today for clarity in an era of unprecedented hyper-disruption, and the mandate from the research is uncompromising.
Avoid the sandcastles.
Demand the operational woke.
Beware the crushing weight of the AI debt trap.
And anchor your expectations and your capital in the physical and geopolitical realities of this new era. This is the research desk officially signing off.